In this video, I'm going to talk about astigmatism. Astigmatism is a problem that plagues many of us who wear glasses, and when it comes to natural vision improvement, it's the part that most people have trouble correcting. I found it wasn't that hard to correct, but first I had to understand what astigmatism is, what are some causes of it, and then I learned to correct it by simple habit changes. Astigmatism is defined as a defect in the eye or lens caused by a deviation from spherical curvature, which results in distorted images as light rays are prevented from meeting at a common focus. The common definition that most people hear is when your cornea becomes football shaped. Think of a round, flexible contact lens that changes to an oval football shape when you squash it. While most people have corneal astigmatisms, you can also get an astigmatism in the lens of your eye as well. When you get your prescription, you see a bunch of numbers, but they're really not that hard to read. My old prescription was OD -4, OS -5, cylinder was -1, axis was 80 degrees. OD is the right eye and OS is the left eye. Negative numbers on the OD and OS mean that you're nearsighted. Positive numbers mean that you're farsighted. Cylinder is the power of the correction. In other words, it's the number that tells how strong your astigmatism is. The axis is the angle of degrees of your astigmatism deviation. So my right eye did not have an astigmatism, but my left eye did. My angle was 80 degrees, so if you look at this on a protractor with 0 being on the left and 180 degrees on the right, facing you, my astigmatism was almost 90 degrees or vertical. You could have a 170 degree angle or maybe even a 10 degree angle, and it can be independent of each eye. Dr. Elliott Forrest, an optometrist, did a study and wrote a paper on astigmatism. He also studied astigmatism cases for years in his practice and started to see a pattern emerge. He found that how people use their eyes in relation to how they use their head determined how astigmatism developed and increased. This information hit home with Dr. Paul Harris, OD, who also was a classically trained bass trombonist. He took Elliott's model and came up with a way to test and predict astigmatism in musicians. You can read more about Dr. Elliott and Harris at the link in the description. Musicians typically play their instruments with constrained postures. For example, a bass trombonist player is restricted from using their left, so they read music from the right. This creates tension in the rectus extraocular muscles. These are the muscles that move the eyes up, down, left, right. I played violin, and because my left jaw and head rested on the chin rest, my head was always tilted to the left. The way I sat, I was always reading the sheet music with my left eye. This eye was working overtime, and because of my bad posture and always having my head tilted, it created tension that built up over time. I continued this bad habit of leaning to the left and tilting my head whenever I read, watched TV, or talked on the phone. If we go back to our protractor and I put it horizontal, tilt my head, and move my eyes as if I were reading, you can see I'm primarily using my left and upper extraocular muscle. I'm creating a lot of tension with this position when I just move my eyes. When I tilt my head back horizontal and look at the angle from the protractor, it puts my angle of tension around about 75 degrees. My last prescription was 80 degrees. Now you can see how head posture and tension can create astigmatism problems. The problems get compounded when you have a correction on your prescription because your eyes become forced to see at that angle to see best. Now is this starting to make sense? If you read a lot with your head tilted down and you only move your eyes left to right, You could have an axis degree of 5 to 10, or maybe even 170 to 180 degrees, depending on the side with the most tension. Remember, it's also individual per eye. So how did I fix my astigmatism? The basic fix is simple, and I've already said this in my other videos. I had to stop using my extraocular muscles unnecessarily and have good posture. I took the strain off the extraocular muscles, and by always sitting and looking at things straight on with no head tilts, this made my astigmatism get better over time. So like in my solving the vision improvement puzzle video, I observed the problem, I became aware of the pattern that caused the problem, then I learned how to fix it. The Bates method stresses that we should move our eyes and head together as one. If your eyes turn, your head should turn in that direction you want to look first to relieve tension. People say the Bates method doesn't work, but if you understand the why, then fixing the problem becomes much easier. If we look at the animal world, they do this naturally. Dogs or cats, for example, mostly move their head and eyes together. For instance, use a laser pointer with a cat or wave food in front of a dog. Their heads will follow the direction of the thing that has their attention. We as humans have taught ourselves this unnatural behavior of moving our eyes only, and it's the reason that many of us get astigmatism to begin with. This is the research that I did on astigmatism, and not only did it make sense to me, I was able to get results just by changing the habits of the way I looked at things. Don't just take my word for it. As always, I recommend do your own research and see what makes sense to you. If you want more information on the things I did to fix my vision, consider my advanced journey guide on my website. Not only do I expand on these techniques that I used to fix my vision, I also talk about a lot of other things that you may not even consider that affect your vision. This is Mark Warren with myopia is mental.com, and we'll catch you on the next one.